Three, two, one, zero, and liftoff. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
TTMTrades, welcome back. So we're gonna do our end of week recap on my top 3 for the week, which was life. Oh, nice. I did not notice. So top 3 for the week: life, which went up 11% this week; TEUM, which is down 2%; and NAC, which is down 2%. Now, when I do my top 3 for the weeks, again, remember I am a swing trader. So just because I say top 3 for the week, that does not mean they're gonna take off this week. All right, that means per this time frame, per the week, I see a nice setup for some nice gains heading into that week I'm talking about, or further down the road. Okay, so we're gonna do a top 3 for the week, end of week recap. I know a lot of people's been asking me questions on what I think about some of them, so this is just a follow-up, man. Oh yeah, and then on October 5th, I said quote your boy this day, October 5th 2018, TVIX is the move in the coming weeks, man, because I really feel like the market is about to correct itself, and TVIX is going to be a major play as far as the volatility and the fear that goes into the market once it begins to correct itself. But we'll jump into that one a little bit later. So let's get into life, man. So the first thing we always want to look at, right, with me being a swing trader and I'm playing the action from day to day, I want to always look at a bigger time frame further out, right, which is on a weekly time frame. So I always want to trade within the bigger time frame. So looking at the weekly, as you can see here, you had this nice little run up. You start getting these long candle wicks at the top, right, and you kind of got this doji, kind of sort of look like a shooting star right here, and then you get this nice pullback on the price action with some immediate accumulation. Now, one thing to pay attention to, now this is on a week-to-week basis, is this last week is the high was 88, and then all of a sudden we created this lower low on life. Okay, now one thing to keep in mind is when you have a higher high, right, which is on the left and the right. Let me see how I want to say this to where it makes sense. So this is considered a pivot high, right, where this 88 cents is at, because you have a lower high here and then you have a lower high here with 2 lower lows. All right, so this one kind of sticks out, like we said, like a shooting star, but it's the pivot high, meaning like this is the last high, 88, which is the current resistance, which this trend has to break to continue its upward momentum. So with that being said, we did create a lower low, right? There was a lot of sell action, and if this was just one long candlestick that closed right here at the bottom, then I would be a little concerned about ticker life and possibly exiting this one as far as a swing trade. But the fact that we have this long wick at the bottom, that shows that there was some buying interest from the bulls back down on those price ranges. So let's go look at this on the daily chart. So looking at this on the daily chart, as we can see that pivot high of 88 cents right here, and then we begin to have a pullback. Now the pullback was on below average volume, so there's no major concerns as far as that pullback. That could be weak hands getting out of the stock, shorts getting out of the stock because they possibly don't know what it may do as far as breaking out to the upside or downside. So pretty light volume. Now if that volume was on heavy volume with nice volume spikes and then it closed at the bottom like this, then again I would be concerned, because that shows a lot of heavy selling with nobody coming behind to accumulate those shares. So again, when it dipped back down into that 72 to 75 cent range, there was immediately a lot of buying, again, as you can see, above average volume here. And then again, another slight pullback, which did not create a lower low, and then again some immediate buying. So it looks like a lot of the weak hands are being accumulated during this consolidation process, because this does look like a consolidation pattern pending a breakout. Now keep in mind the Bollinger Bands are beginning to constrict, which shows low volatility, which also shows a consolidation process. So one thing to pay attention to is I will watch that 71 cent support holds, and that this resistance right here sitting right at 81 cent is break. It's either going to break down below 71 or it's going to break above That's 78-cent resistance to the upside. One thing to pay attention to on the breakout either direction is the volume, to make sure that ticker LIFE has a potential play for a major breakout here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is I keep 4 different indicators on my chart. One is for volume, and the other 3 are all momentum, right, as far as the price action. Now, my RSI is more of a fast-paced momentum, whereas my Copic curve, indicator is more of a medium term momentum following the RSI, and then I keep my PMO, which is more of a long term. Now, I look for an in sync movement of all 3. Now, anytime all 3 are in sync and their moving averages are moving sideways or beginning to trend upwards, along with my on balance volume, as you can see here, showing that there's more buying interest than there is selling interest, then that kind of gives me an indicator that there may be favor in the bulls for this one to break out to the upside. So again, as you can see here, the PMO actually curved up and it's holding above its 75-day average along with its 20-day average, and it's beginning to trend upwards, right, along with the Copic curve indicator, which is normally one line, but I put 2 more averages on here to kind of time the price action shifts and how the momentum is shifting. And as you can see here, even this one is trending downward slightly, but it's holding above that 30-pair moving average for a possible curve back up for a bounce. So all signs look good for a possible breakout here to the upside. Again, as you can see, this low volume shows that there's a lot of accumulation, and a lot of the up downs again is weak hands being shaken out of the stock, with buyers coming in and accumulating those weak hands. People who are getting rid of their shares because they're scared to hold or whatever the case may be. You actually have professional buyers and traders who come in and buy those shares and shake out those weak hands. Now, once a lot of those weak hands are bought out, then you begin to get a strong support and a strong consolidation for a nice breakout to the upside. So I will continue to keep an eye on ticker LIFE. Next, we're going to talk about TEUM. So I actually had somebody ask me about this one. Is this one doing some sideways consolidation? Who is this? Stock exchange. So I got you. Sideways with a question mark. Stock was just over 3. No. Bright light, excuse me. Sideways pattern, reverse assume. Question. That was back on October 5th. So TEUM, as you can see, has been in this up, down, swinging wildly to the top and back down. All right. But this is a consolidation pattern, if a lot of people don't know. Now, on the day-to-day, you really can't tell that this is a consolidation pattern. So again, we always want to trade into that bigger picture momentum. So if you look here, if we just do a pure chart analysis, meaning we're going to take the Bollinger Bands off of here, right? If we just do a pure chart analysis, this is the actual bullish pattern if you pay attention to it, right? So you have this what are we on? We're on a daily, excuse me. Let me go back out to the weekly. All right, so looking at the weekly, you actually have this flag pennant here forming. So here you had this nice breakout from this consolidation pattern that was back in this area here, right? You get this nice breakout from this pattern, and then you get some more sideways consolidation again. Now, with this being the flag pennant, if you look, right, it's constantly peaking out right at about mid $3 range, as you can see here. So peaks out, rejected, again peaks out, rejected, peaks out, peaks out. So this lower $3 range is right where the resistance at, give or take, right around 315 to 320. Now, if you also look, you are creating higher lows on each go round into this push. All right, so you got the swing up to 339, comes down to 154, another swing up, touches down to 195, another swing 211, another swing 237, and now we're right in the apex of this flag pennant and or ascending triangle pattern, whichever one you're more familiar with, right? So this has to break out to the upside and or the downside here soon. Now, one thing to keep a look at, just looking at this on a weekly basis, we want to know, is this one going to break out to the upside or downside? Now, this is why I started looking at some of my indicators and looking at how they're acting along with the price action. So the overall on balance volume, you can see the volume has been trending sideways, showing that this is in a consolidation pattern. Now, like I tell a lot of my traders, the RSI is the golden indicator. Honestly, man, I could trade with the RSI, not any other indicator, but I use a lot of them for different supporting areas. But with the RSI, if it's holding above that 40 to 50 range, then that shows that it is in a consolidation pattern, and it is at a bullish state. Anytime the RSI has trouble breaking above that 40 to 50 range, that 50 to 60 range, then that shows that it is in a downtrend. Hence this one right here. So we're going to push this one up to about 60. Let's bring that down to 50. Right. Push this one up to about 60 right there. I'm going to turn this one red. So let me show you something. You see this downtrend right here? If you look at the RSI, and the entire time it could not break above this 50 and or 60, which shows that the price action was in a very bearish state and was in a downtrend. So had troubles breaking above. Again, didn't even push up into the 50, push into the 50, rejected, push into that 60 area, rejected, again, rejected, and then overall downtrend. And that's what you had this entire time. Hence, this red box is what I'm showing you as the RSI. Now, as the price action began to break above, got rejected here again, broke above, and then it finally broke out of that 50 and 60 area. And as it pulled back, it's holding above that 40 to 50 area, all right, which is showing sideways consolidation, hence your RSI moving sideways. And then the fact that it's holding above that 40 to 50 area shows that it's consolidating more in a bullish state. It is in a bullish trend. So again, you get this high breakout on high volume showing a lot of buying interest, and then you get this sideways consolidation on very low volume, right? So this is a very bullish pattern, something that I would keep my eye on, and to make sure that this trend line right here is holding, which is currently right at 267. Now, if we go to it on a day-to-day basis, where could this possibly dip down to? And I'm gonna go back to my default chart with the Bollinger Bands. So as you can see here, it's been having these wild price action swings, and then as it pulls back, it holds above that one standard bottom deviation Bollinger Band, which shows that it's still in a healthy sideways trend. Anytime the price action dips below that outside Bollinger Band, like goes below it, then that signals that a possible downtrend could be starting. But as you can see, it pushes into those highs and stretches the Bollinger Bands out upwards, and then when it comes back down, it holds on that one standard deviation, again above that one standard deviation, again above that one standard deviation, which is sitting right at 269. So worst case, if ticker TEUM was to dip below 258, then we would possibly be looking at a possible downtrend beginning to start up. But one thing to pay attention to as the price action begin to drop, it is on consistent selling volume and just a little bit above average, but you have these bottom wicks, which shows there's buying interest as it dips back down in these levels of the 260, lower 260s to high 260s. So I would definitely keep an eye on support 258 and 267 going into next week to make sure those two hold. Again, as you can see on a day-to-day basis, the Bollinger Bands are beginning to constrict, showing that there is low volatility for a potential breakout. Now again, with the RSI, just like I showed you on the weekly, if I bring this over from 40 to 50, as you can see, it is in a healthy bullish consolidation. Again, it dips down into that 40 area, immediately comes back up, dips down into that 40 area, comes back up, dips into the 40 area, it runs back up, holds again in that 40 area, runs back up, it's coming back down into this 40 area again. So if that 40 area holds, right, to shows that the RSI is in a bullish trend, even though it's sideways consolidating along with that 258 to 267, then this tells me as a trader that this is a good price range to buy in, low 260s to mid 260s. Make my entry, watch my RSI to make sure it holds above 40, and then when it begins to curl up, watch the volume pick up, and then play it for the potential breakout. So yes, this one is in a sideways consolidation. I know someone went and answered the question for this person saying sideways stock was just over 3 a few days ago. And I know one of my guys, my boy Backwood, he said he hates to agree with stock exchange, but it has not been sideways this week. So Backwoods is actually right. The stock has not been sideways this week. It was actually in a downward pullback, downward trend as far as a pullback, but the pullback was on light volume. So overall, yes, this is a sideways consolidation pattern, bright light. I would just keep an eye on it for the breakout and make sure the RSI holds above that 40 to show the bullish trend, and make sure that lower 260 to mid 260 hold as support before you get that nice uptrend back to the upside. So that's ticker TEUM. And last but not least is NAC. Now I really love the way ticker NAK is setting up. All right, let's dive into ticker NAK. So looking at this one on a weekly, right, because we always want to trade into the bigger pattern, right? So again, as you can see, you had this downtrend, right? Anytime a stock is in a strong downtrend, it will always stay below that bottom 1 standard deviation and the bottom 2 standard deviation. So as you can see on this downtrend, below that bottom 2 and 1 standard deviation as we begin to trend sideways, again rejected by the 1 standard deviation, again some more accumulation, and now it's trending sideways and it's trying to hold its consolidation pattern. So one thing I would keep an eye on this one, the momentum is beginning to shift, but we have not seen any strong buying power on a week-to-week basis to show that there's a potential breakout in this one. So currently the support big time frame is right at 48, where that 1 standard deviation is at, and the current resistance is right at 65, where our middle Bollinger Band is at, okay, with price targets of 81 and 97 for potential breakouts. And again, your Bollinger Bands will always correlate with the volatility of the stock and its swings in the past. So even if I draw these lines across, that correlates with this pattern's resistance, is where it peaked out at. If I draw that 81 across, it'll correlate with this last consolidation's line of support, and if I draw a line straight across, it'll correlate with this last pattern's line of resistance. So your Bollinger Bands will always adjust to the volatility of the stock and its highs and lows and how it's been swinging. So this is why we look at these price targets of 65, 81, and 97, because they all correlate with support and resistance areas of where the stock have currently swinged as far as highs and lows. So again, we want to watch 48 to hold, because as we see here, bottom 1 standard deviation, that is where the price action has tested on multiple occasions, right? 47, 48, 49, it dipped down to 52, and now it's dipped down to 55. So as you can see, it's starting to come off of this line of support and kind of trending the upwards momentum. So I would keep an eye on this one long term for potential breakout to these profit targets that we just talked about. Now if we go to this on a day-to-day basis, looking at ticker NAK, as you can see, it's in the sideways consolidation pattern with the Bollinger Bands holding nice and tight. Okay, RSI is beginning to consolidate above that 40, as I just talked about in my last 2 videos. Not my last 2 videos, excuse me, my last 2 picks. We take the RSI. Let me hit that square. Let's take it and draw it over 40 to 50 range. As you can see, again, like I told you, anytime that RSI is struggling to get above that 50 to 60 range, then that tells you that it is definitely in a bearish trend. So I'm gonna take this one, turn it red for your vision. So as you can see here, RSI is struggling to even get up to that 50 to 60 area here, constantly in the downtrend. Again, you get a nice little run up, but it doesn't break above that 60, right? So that's a short-term run up, gets rejected by that 60, come back down. So as you can see here, this entire time the stock was in excuse me, a bearish overall trend. We finally get the breakout above that 60 area to show that the bulls are trying to come in and shift the momentum, and then as it begins to pull back, holds above 40. Another nice breakout again, pull back, hold above 40. So now it looks like the bulls are beginning to shift the momentum and take it back for a potential breakout. Again, Bollinger Bands are beginning to constrict, and as you can see, we have some very light volume here below average, which shows a nice consolidation pattern, sideways consolidation pattern. Now you did get this high volume spike right here, And even though that bar is red, it doesn't mean it was a lot of selling volume in the bearish to control. This shows that there was a nice breakout to the upside right around 60 cent, and probably a lot of shorts of whoever was in this stock. Again, weak hands immediately sold their shares and got out, which brought this back down. But again, it held above the last low of 52. It's still holding right at 55. So again, this is another shakeout, shaking out all the weak hands plus the shorts for a potential breakout again. Now my PMO again is holding very well above its averages, and it's consolidating sideways to show that ticker NAK is also consolidating. So again, we want to watch that 53 for support. Like I showed you, the Bollinger Bands will always adjust based off the price action highs and lows. So that 53 support, which correlates with this area right here where it dipped down at, and that 57 resistance, which correlates to this last support, and then this area is resistant currently right here. So I would keep an eye on those two price range. If you have not entered, then I would try to play the lower to mid, the lower 50s, right at that 51 to 53 cent to try to make an entry and then get the potential breakout. But end of week recap on all three, man. They all look very healthy. Please play your entries strategically and take your time. As you can see right now, thus far, we're still sitting at TEUM from when I originally posted down 10%, NAC down 1%, Life up 3%. But before I posted these, I told you all entry points to try to play. So again, even though a lot of them are in sideways consolidation patterns with pending breakouts, play your entries strategically and be patient when you make those entries, and make sure you protect your account. Again, man, TTMTrades up to 2,800 followers. We're going to keep pushing that number up as I get more active. If you have not seen, StockTwits have made rooms, private rooms, all right? And I have my room made, TTMTrades, man. Look me up. Join the waiting list, man. Get in here so that way once they activate these rooms going into next year, we have our own private room for everybody that follows me, man, and that way we can make money together. But man, I can't find it right now. But yo, you look me up, TTMTrades. I have my own private room for anybody who's following me, and once they activate these private rooms, I'm gonna do a lot of my posts and everything within these premium rooms privately for everyone that's a part of my community. So again, TTMTrades, protect those accounts, be patient, swing trading mentality, right? Real zen with the trades. We got to go with the flow. Till next time, I'm out.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.